Hi folks, this is Alan English, actor, writer and autism trainer with another autism tutorial. This one is on, well, party time. I want to discuss further some aspects of social interaction that can pose challenges for autistic people, with reference of course to my own experiences. Now the topics covered in this little chat here include going out, drugs and alcohol, as well as talking about cliques and factions in large social circles. Now, as an older man, I don't do much in the way of going out drinking these days, and it took a while as a teenager before I started doing it on a regular basis, just to fit in. Pubs and clubs can be hit and miss places for autistics, because they can be good places to meet people, but they can also be sensory nightmares with so much noise and flashing lights in spaces that are at once large and spacious, but also tight and confined. With all this going on around us, it can be very hard to make sense of what is going on, and it certainly was the case with me, I can tell you. Sometimes in these places, I could lose my friends very easily, and it would take me a while to find them again. Amid buying drinks, jostling back and forth through crowded rooms, meeting new people, establishing friendships, and keeping conversations going were not the easiest of tasks. Most of the time I would mask my autistic nature reasonably well, but sometimes it didn't work. I would sometimes stim a lot, waiting for my friends to arrive or nipping in and out of venues when I needed a break from the company. The bouncers would see the stimming and be hesitant to admit me or readmit me, and sometimes they didn't. I was lucky to avoid too many disagreements with bouncers over the years due to my condition. Nevertheless, fear of misunderstanding and the desire to avoid conflict mean I seldom go out to drink these days. I went to a lot of parties as a young man, and I even hosted a couple of them at my parents' house. I was able to do this through the theatre groups I was a part of at the time. Now, whether at my own place or somewhere else, these private parties posed their own set of social challenges. Now, I've always avoided hard drugs and the people who take them. I was quick to absorb the messages in the media and at school about how dangerous they were. I was keenly aware of my own vulnerability long before I called it autism. So I did not want to take substances, particularly hallucinogens, that would make me more vulnerable than I was and allow people to take advantage of me. Or worse. With drink, especially at parties, it was a whole different story. In social situations where I would struggle to make conversation or get worn out from trying, I would get drunk. This would lead me to making myself the centre of attention by doing something foolish like stripping off in the centre of the room. It was a compensation strategy for my lack of social skills and not being as popular or as attractive as I wanted to be. Thankfully, this is a part of my life that has petered out as I've got older, and I do not have the energy or the inclination to do this anymore, thank God. Unfortunately, speaking in more general terms here, drink and drugs can become a crutch for many autistic people. Abusing drugs and alcohol can be a destructive way of distracting ourselves from the realities of our individual situations and the difficulties of living with our autistic natures. Addiction and mental health problems can very easily ensue. Another aspect of socializing that is worth considering is the reality of cliques and factions within large social circles. A more accurate term for these would be splinter groups. Now, these splinter groups meet up at large social circles and then break away to discuss or engage in their own activities. Now, I saw this a lot in the theatre circuit in Aberdeen, where I grew up, and I see it in the acting and poetry circles here in London. Poetry splinter groups often go by the name of poetry collectives. In Aberdeen, I made something of an ambition to join one of these splinter groups on the theatre circuit. In retrospect, I wish I hadn't tried so hard. I was so focused on being seen as talented or popular, I failed to see that this was just another way of trying to be something that I wasn't. I was trying to do this to bury the pain of growing up autistic and trying to conceal my own vulnerability and weakness. In this, I would try to ingratiate myself upon or impress people whom I perceived as talented or popular, and to increase my own social standing in a group. And when this failed, as it often did, I would be humiliated and go back to playing the fool again. I was also too partial to gossip or intrigue, and I found myself saying or repeating things in groups that just weren't true. A man I saw at quite a few of these parties called me out on this, and he says to me, "Chill, be you, instead of this hierarchical person that you're trying to be." It took a while, a bit longer than it should have, to realise what he meant by this. I have now accepted that as an adult it is unrealistic to expect to be liked by everybody or to know what everyone else thinks of you. I found my own niche in life down here in London, and while it is far from perfect, I am less concerned with what others think of me now than I used to be. It's taken a lot of experience of socialising and examination of my own behaviour to get to this point. There are times where I am still haunted by my past mistakes, but overall I am content in the knowledge that I am in a better place than I was.